So basically, it means someone that Microsoft is, a business that Microsoft has partnered with, and they basically do work for Microsoft wearing the Microsoft hat, but they do work for another company. Another company that Jacques works for is Gijima, and he is the services lead for Gijima. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks very much, Jacques.
Okay, guys, so today we're talking about the modern data center. Has anybody seen this or know about this modern data center or this concept?
No.
Yes or no? Okay, so I assume that this. Are any of you actually running system center on premise? Any system center deployments? Yes, one year. Are you affiliated with UJ? I know that UJ is running it.
UKZN.
UKZN. Okay, great, perfect. So basically what I'm going to tell you about today is, here's my agenda. So I'm going to talk a little about this modern data center, and I'm going to tell you what is pushing us into this direction to actually make us change the way that we're doing things now. And then after that, we're going to look at Windows Server 2016. There's a couple of new features, new capabilities that's product. And then also System Center 2016. So, and then we'll end with something called the Operations Management Suite. So has anybody heard of that? Simply called OMS. So for 99% of the room, I can actually tell you anything today. Okay, great. So I'm going to try and keep it on a high level. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I've actually prepared a couple of demos, and I'll show you those demos. If you want, we can skip those. If you want, we can go into a bit more detail. But let's cross that bridge when we get. Okay, cool. So as I mentioned, something is forcing us to go from this data center that we had before, into that cloud-based system. And what is that? That is, what's forcing us? Why should we change? Yes, storage is expensive. Okay. Yes, skills are scarce. We don't have. There's many skills that we don't have. I've got a couple of crypt notes to help you with this process, but you'll see you're exactly on the right track. Okay. So costs are prohibitive. If I want to buy an establishment like this, huge building, and I want to host my data center there, that costs a lot of money. Okay. I have to pay for cooling. I need to pay for power to this establishment. Okay? So all of that, it's a lot of money. So that makes me think about that stuff in the cloud, that promise in the cloud. Okay? Where I don't need to worry about all these things, all these expensive things. I can just move my stuff into the cloud. But that's where the problem comes in. I cannot just take a forklift and take all my virtual machines into the cloud. There's certain things that I need to keep in mind. And that's where we're at the moment. So we're kind of like in between these things. Okay? So we are busy adapting, but we're not there yet. Can you feel the same way? I mean, the way that IT deal with your situation.
Taking university outside. Someone is going to see.
No, you can take your data, it's protected. Just don't put your photos there. No, I'll share that sentiment. Okay, so there's a lot of skepticism. I don't know if my data is going to be safe in the cloud, but the fact is you are already doing it. Okay, whether you like it or not. Are you using Dropbox? Are you using OneDrive? Okay, all those things synchronizes your data to the cloud. You use a Gmail account to save your contacts on your phone. It's in the cloud. Okay. But it's busy happening. And that brings us to something called the cloud-inspired infrastructure. So we know that it's expensive to have a data center. So these expensive things are making me do things differently. And I'd like to call it cloud-inspired infrastructure. And what you'll see is there's 4 definite pillars that this is based on. And when we start talking about the technologies, when we get to system center, you'll see that the compute, the networking, the storage, as well as the overall security components is very important when we deal with systems. Okay? So a couple of years back, you couldn't imagine that I can separate the compute component from the networking component or from the storage component. But these days, this is actually what we do. We have dedicated storage enclosures. Okay? We have dedicated compute clusters that utilizes the storage for purpose. And where we had in the past this network where we plug the tables in, everything worked, all of that is now virtualized as well. So we're starting to talk about software-defined network. Okay, so all of this is changing. When I look at this, this is where these technologies comes to play. So when I look at server and I look at System Center 2016, they are infused with these Azure design technologies. Okay, and you'll see how they've changed. Okay. So when I started doing some research for this presentation, I actually looked at what's new in Windows Server, and I found this slide, and I thought, man, that's my research done. I don't need to do anything more. The point that I'm trying to bring across is that this is based on something called Technical Preview 4. So after Technical Preview 4, Technical Preview 5, or what we simply call PP5, was released recently. So this is already outdated. So you need to see the rate of change of this, what we call it the update cadence. It's very, very quick. It's not like what you are used to in the on-premise world. Okay, it's much, much quicker, this cloud cadence. So I'm not going to go through all of those aspects. I want to highlight some of the aspects that's new in PP5. Okay? Or have any of you seen Server 2016? You're running it in a lab somewhere maybe? Nobody. So I'm actually talking locally here. Nobody knows. Okay. So the first thing that I want to highlight is something called containers. So you're familiar with virtualization, right? Okay, so what virtualization was for hardware, this is actually for the operating system. So think about it like this. In the 80s, we had a hardware device, and we had an operating system running on top of that hardware device. Okay? Then we started with virtualization. We had a hardware device with multiple operating systems on it. So that was hardware virtualization. For each OS, they saw a virtual hardware attached. Okay? The containers, the logical next step. I've got a physical OS, a single OS, and when I introduce containers into this OS, I actually running spinning up a virtual OS inside that existing OS. Okay? Now, how do I interact with this container? There's no graphical interface to do it. There's no like Hyper-V manager that you can use to administer this container. You have to do it through PowerShell. Okay? Anybody familiar with PowerShell? Yes. Cool. So if you're proficient in PowerShell, it's going to be very easy to actually get these containers, configure them, and protect them. Okay. So you get two types of containers. You get a Windows Server container, and you get a Windows Hyper-V container. So what's the difference? The difference is in the isolation level. So if you look at the Windows Server container, the kernel of the OS is shared between the containers, whereas in Hyper-V, the kernel is not shared. The kernel is virtualized. Okay, that's the only technical difference between these two containers. In all other aspects, they actually work exactly the same way. So what am I going to use them for? They are for modern applications. So I can, these AppX applications, I can install them into a container. I can provision it in there. I can join containers to main. The container's got its own IP stack. I can communicate with it. I can install a web-based server or a web server in a container. And, that's the way that I do things. So a container is like a normal operating system. It's just a lot smaller, and I'll show you in the demo. Okay. Any questions on containers?
So what is the advantage of going to container and not just going to?
Okay, so I'm going to get to the advantages. It's about 2 slides away from here. But you'll see it will become clear why I would something like this. But in the same breath, I actually want to mention another new technology called a nano server. Okay? So you've probably heard about a full-scale server. When you install it, it's got a graphical user interface, a GUI, that I can interact with the server. Okay? And some time ago, when Windows Server 2012 shipped, there was a version that removed the GUI from the OS, okay? And that was called Server 4. So it's a scaled-down version. And why do I want that? Why do I want to mess with the PowerShell commands instead of this machine? If there's no GUI. The reason is simple. I want to scale down the attack surface on that machine. If there's no GUI, obviously there's no vulnerability that I can exploit in that GUI. Okay? So that's the reason why I want to scale the server down. So the nano server is the next step. Between the core It's actually the next step. So this is the smallest version of the OS that you're going to get. Okay? And then next to it is the traditional server core. That plays well with your virtual machines. So I don't need a GUI to host a lot of virtual machines. Okay? So the server core is perfect for that. And the next step up is the full GUI. So this is typical where I want to have the RDS form. Okay, so I've got this cluster of RDS servers, and I have all my users remote desktop into this server infrastructure. Okay, so there's a place for all of these OSs. Okay. To answer your question, why would I need this? Okay. The whole idea behind nanoserver and behind containers is I want to scale down the attack surface. I don't want to be vulnerable if I don't need that component, don't use that component. So this gives you an example as the way that servers were patched. This example was during the cycle of 2014. Okay? So in 2014, for server, the full server, there were 26 important bulletins. Okay? For server core, only 23, and for nano server, 9. Okay? For critical bulletins, you can see the difference there, up from 23 down to 2. And the number of reboots required, okay, 11 reboots versus 3. If you think about Azure, the cloud, there's almost 1 million physical servers in Azure today. Okay? If I have to reboot 11 times in the space of a year, 1 million servers, how many reboots am I going to do? A lot. Okay? And how much downtime is that going to cause? That's why I want to take it down as much as I can. So instead of rebooting 11 times in a year, I want to do it twice, 3 times. Okay? So that's the reason why we're doing this. Another reason why we're doing this is the speed in which we can provision new machines. So instead of having a machine going through its generalization phase and the out-of-the-box experience, that typically takes about 30 minutes to go through that experience. Instead of that 30 minutes, I can provision a machine in 30 seconds. Okay? So think about scaling up in terms of demand. If I've got a website that's experiencing a huge demand, I can quickly scale up the number of resources in the backend. Okay? So that's why I want to do these things. Okay. So rolling updates, this is also a new capability in Server 2016. So if you're familiar with the way that clusters used to work in the past and how you went from cluster 2008 to Server 2008 to Server 2012, that was a pain. Okay, it was a mission. There's no way that you could combine these two. You had to almost trash the one and then create a new one. Okay, that was a mission to do that. In Server 2016 now, it's all different. Okay? It's got this notion that I've got a 4-node failover cluster. What I do is I take my workloads and I move them off of 2 nodes. I upgrade those 2 nodes, either in place upgrade, or I can do a reload of the operating system. I join the 2 nodes, the new ones, into this cluster, and I move my workloads back again. So I've never stopped the workloads, okay? And while I'm in this phase, I can still patch those, all the nodes of the server as I used to do it before. Okay, there's no change in the way that I do patch management. When this is done, I can actually move the workloads onto the new servers, update the old nodes in that cluster, and then stop there. Okay? There's something called the cluster functional level. So at this stage, if I wanted to, I can still roll back to 2012. Okay? There's nothing stopping me going back to 2012. But it's at this point in time that I flip the switch and say, okay, now this is a 2016 cluster. When I flip that switch, I can't go back. Okay? But you have control up to that point, whether you want to roll back or you want to go. Okay. So we spoke about nested virtualization. So who would want to use something like this? It doesn't make sense. Running a virtual machine inside of a virtual machine. Why would I want to do this? Any ideas? Maybe it doesn't make sense, for your own users or offices. It doesn't make sense to run it inside of another view. If you host it, if you provide virtual machines, all of this infrastructure as a service solution, then it makes perfect sense. Because on an existing hypervisor, if I'm providing tenants access into this hypervisor, I don't want to give them admin rights. I don't want my tenants to access my virtualization software. So what I do is I create a virtual cluster on top of my Hyper-V, and the bottom side, that's the physical infrastructure. I keep control of that. I keep managing that. But from a tenant's perspective, he manages that whole part of it. Okay? So, and he's got full unrestricted control to his cluster running. running there. Okay, so now it makes sense. So they have access to this virtual infrastructure. They can do what they want. They can set up the clustering. They can set up whatever they need. You know, they can do the patch management while I still maintain control over the physical hardware. So this is perfect for something like Azure or even Amazon. Okay. That's why we need is the virtualization. Okay. So I'm going to show you a demo. We've got a couple of minutes left. So I'm going to be quick in the demo. Any questions? Okay, so what I have here, this is Hyper-V server, okay, and remember the containers that we spoke about. The only way that you can manage them is through PowerShell. So I've got a couple of PowerShell lines there, which is very, very simple, you'll see. So the interface session, that is simply to connect to a different machine. Okay, so if I were connected to a different machine, I would enter this command. So in order to enable this container functionality, I simply run the install Windows feature containers. And then obviously there's something called a package provider. Now, what's interesting is that the container software does not live on the Windows server. It's something that you get from the cloud. And there's two ways that you can get it. There's a Windows provider, and you basically have two options: a server core option or a nano server option. Okay. So you get it from the cloud. That's actually a download, and then you install it in your local image. So when I do a get container image on this machine, you will see that I've already downloaded two images, the nano server one and the Windows server. Okay. It is from here that I can actually create a new container. So, quick question, how long does it take you to provision a new virtual machine or environment? An hour, a day, a week?
Plus minus an hour.
Plus minus an hour. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new container image. Okay, I'm running the command. There we go. The image is created. Okay, so the new container is created. So when I look at the containers again, I can see that I have 3 containers now instead of the 2 that I had before. I've just created that late 2016. So I can now start that container that I created. So start container late 2016. See, it's starting up the container. And that's it. So the container is running. If I do the get container again, you'll see that that container is running. It's running there. So now I can remotely connect to that machine. So just to show you that, I want to do an IP config. So this is the IP config of my local Hyper-V server that I'm working on at the moment. So now I'm going to connect remotely to that container. So it's busy. Then you'll see when we connect it on the side there, you will see in brackets it says May 2016. So now we're in that container. Remember, this is a virtual OS inside the OS that I'm currently in. But in the OS, I can do an IP config. You'll see that this, what it's doing, basically in the container, it's busy getting these commands that's in the container. So it does that predictive text that's used by. Okay, so we've got all the commands that's valid in the container, and now I can do the IP config bit. Okay. Do you see that there's no IP configuration? Okay. So how am I communicating with the container? That's a new feature of Windows Server 2016. This is called PowerShell Direct. So I don't need IP connectivity. I can go through the VM bus to get to that. Okay. So the normal things apply. I can do a div, I can get commands, I can do change directory, and whatever. So it's as if it's a normal machine, but you never see it. It's like a black hole. You know it's there. Okay. And just to exit this session, and I want to connect to another one.
Two S's, three S's.
One's website. What's the other one? Please. So what I'm going to show you is just to connect to a different container session, and I'll show you that the IP config is actually loaded in this one. So this one has got an IP stack loaded. I can ping it for what I want. Okay, got its own IP address. So this container's got an IP, the previous one didn't have an IP. Questions? Yes. There's a PowerShell command get dash adapter config and get dash adapter config. So all those commands that are available.
If you want to go software,
Okay, so the notion of installing software is a bit different on a container than it is on a physical server. So in a container, you install packages. This packages comes in a tab form. Okay. So there's a PowerShell command to install that tab package, or you can do like the modern application, the AppX, do that as well.
So where do we get?
So, I don't know. There's two ways of managing containers at the moment. So it's either through PowerShell or through something called Docker. Okay. The Docker is like PowerShell level. Okay. At the moment, the two, they don't talk to each other. But in future, they can coexist. If you want to get these packages, you have to install Docker. And then Docker has got an online repository where all these packages are. Okay, so there's a Docker command then to list the packages. Okay, and then get those download the packages.
if you wanted to install something like that, MS, they do now.
Yes, they are. I haven't seen Joomla. I have seen this. I know there's one for iOS, and there's one for, I can't remember. There's a demo that I saw for a web server. The last thing that I want to show you, and I'll see you having it.
Okay.
So this is my Manu server. Okay, so this is Hyper-V. That's Hyper-V Manager, and this is my Manu server running in Hyper-V. So remember what I said about scaling down the attack surface of the OS. Okay? So this is less than server 4. Okay, that's all you see, okay, when you get to the Manu server. You can log on, but there's nothing that you can do. This is actually a headless version of Windows. Okay, so even now that I'm logged on, I can't do anything. The only things that I can do is I can look at the networking component, I look at the MAC address, and I can see, okay, cool, IP is enabled. But the way that I interact with it is also through PowerShell. So what I want to show you is quickly connect to it via PowerShell. So I need to add it to my trusted host list. The reason for that is that Manu server is not in a domain. Okay? So I've added that already. Okay. So now I'm going to enter this ES session, exactly like I did with the other one with the container, but this is into the Manu server now. So you can see all of this is live. Okay? None of this is canned. Okay, let's dive into that section again. Okay, so when I'm in that remote session, I'll do that get module command, the available modules on that machine. So that will give you an idea as to what capabilities are available out of the box. That's quite a few. I know about the AppX, so we can install modern applications. Okay. The DISM commands is one of the features. Some command that's like WI. Okay. Some PowerShell command that security and network, etc. So I can look at the processes running on that Nano server. So there's two processes. If you compare this to much less, then my best demo is to actually restart and show you how quickly this boots up. So when last have you seen a Windows server run? Yeah. So that's using 256 megs of memory, and it boots up like a normal Windows system. It should be much quicker, okay? And because it's got nothing to load. Okay. So this is also the idea. Remember, when we patch, we don't want to reboot. Okay? After the patch, we want to get back into business as possible. So that's quite quick, right? Yay! Okay, cool. So that's the same as Nano servers. Yes. Any questions?
So in the Nano servers, you want to install yes, packages.
Okay, so that's actually a good question. How do you install a Nano server? In the Windows setup portion, when you're on setup, it's not listed as an option to have a Nano server there. Okay? So you get the tool GUI and the server core component. You won't get Nano server. When you look at the media, you'll see there's a folder. And inside that folder, there's a VHD that you can copy. So you copy this VHD and offline you manipulate it. You add components to it, the networking components or the compute components or whatever. Okay? And then you start it up. Also, in order to join the domain, you can't do that when the system is online. You have to do it when it's offline. So you use your DISM commands, join the domain offline, and then start the machine. That's our process to get there. Okay. That's why my machine is not the way to it. Okay, so that brings us, okay, this is a couple of the mods that I use, PowerShell mods. So I'm sure you'll get this presentation afterwards, okay, so it's just for your reference. So the container bit, and then also the Nano server bit. This actually tells you how to manipulate that PHP. And you'll see this is where they add the compute component. This enables the clustering, the clustering compute. There's also option for a scale-out file system. Okay, so what's new on Windows Server 2016? I'm going to leave this up there for you to read through. I'm not going to touch on it. I might highlight some of it. Bot add remove for network adapters and memory. Now, when a virtual machine is running, I can bot add a network adapter. That through the GUI. Or I can change the memory allocated to that machine. Changing the memory, I cannot do it through the GUI. I need to do that through PowerShell. Okay. Production checkpoints. Are any of you using Library? Have you used checkpoints before? You would know that the support statement says do not use checkpoints in production. Okay? It's used in testing. This is production checkpoint. Okay? So the way that it works is totally different from the previous way of doing things. It's only available in Server 2016. We spoke about containers. Shielded virtual machines is that if I had this cluster storage removed or my storage component, and in my cluster, it always points to a cluster folder. Okay? If I copy that path to where my VHD lies, I can actually mount the VHD and I can start it up. I might not be able to log in, but I can mount the VHD, I can start the virtual machine. So a shielded VM, actually I'm using BitLocker to encrypt that VM. So even if I have access to that path, I can't copy the VM and mount it. Okay, BitLocker makes it big. There's some manager improvements. The virtual machine configuration file format has changed. It used to be a text file, it's now a binary file. And that's used for increased capability, can grow quicker. Virtual machine configuration version update 1. That's it. That's on Server 2016. Okay, any questions? Server? Nothing. Okay, so I'm quickly going to go through System Center. System Center is massive. You can actually spend about 3 days on system. It really is massive. Suite of products. The System Center is not the product, it's actually the suite. It's made up of about 7 products, individual products. Okay, so the most well-known is probably Config Manager, Operations Manager. You guys know that? Yeah. You don't know it, you won't know of the other products. products are affected in the end. Let's look at it. So once again, this modern management that goes with our modern data center, we need to change the way that we used to do things. So if I look at System Center, it's always been an on-premise solution. Yeah, but only recently, because of this modern management, modern data center, started to reach out into the cloud. So now I can manage resources in the cloud, I can monitor them. It's got that link. If I look at the modern management component, there's another solution that sits on top of it, which is called actually Operations Management Suite. That's where it sits. So it doesn't replace the on-premise capabilities of System Center, but it actually enhances those capabilities. And it gives me other scenarios of monitoring. And I'll show you some of those at the end of the day if we have time. Okay. So this is the first component of System Center, called Orchestrator. What does it do out of the box? Here it is. It does absolutely nothing. But it has the ability to do everything. Now you can ask me for example. I don't have example, but let's think about it this way. If you want to provision a mailbox, I can get Orchestrator to connect into my ticketing system, pick up this ticket, read through the information, and provision a mailbox that's so many gigabytes in size. Okay. Or I can get Orchestrator to look at Active Directory, get me the old objects, users not logging into the system or devices not authenticating, and move them somewhere. After I've moved them, let's leave them there for 3 months. If they're still not updated, let's disable them. And then after 3 months, if they're still not updated, let's okay, so kind of like an automated editing. So the sky's the limit, you can whatever you want, you can do there. It also touches on something called PowerShell DSC. So DSC is desired state configuration. I create a manifest and I say, this system is supposed to look like this. I apply the manifest and voila, the system looks like that. Upcoming new or what's new in the next version, this 2016 at least, is the hybrid runbook worker. Probably biggest advancement. So I have the ability to seamlessly go between on-premise and cloud. Okay. So there's no difference in the runbook worker, as well as some other new stuff as well. Anybody using Orchestrator? Anybody using Service Manager? So Orchestrator is a big part of Service Manager as well. Okay, so Virtual Machine Manager. This is used to manage my fabric. My fabric consists of compute, a network, and of storage. Okay, so Virtual Machine Manager manages all those aspects. It's not only about creating virtual machines and provisioning virtual machines, moving them around between different nodes. It's also about managing that fabric that I spoke about, provisioning or creating new runs by storage. Creating tenants, creating clouds, okay, and providing them to my end users. That's what is. You'll see there's a trend going through all of these. The new things, everything is more compatible with cloud. Everything is more seamless with cloud. Okay. So where there's something important, I'll highlight that. Looking at Data Protection Manager, this is doing backups, but it does it in a different way from normal backup solutions. Okay. It's actually context aware. So if I point it to my Active Directory server, it's going to know that this is Active Directory. If I point it at Exchange, it's going to know that this is the Exchange server and it's a big one. Again, the same goes for SQL and IIS products. Okay. This also integrates with the cloud, so I can do my long-term backups into the cloud and keep my short-term backups as using the OMS solution, I can actually monitor backup. Yes. I'm not sure to what extent when I know there was a big drive when 2012 came out to be cross-platform, everything. That's information from config to config manager, all on cross-platform aware. In terms of the backup solutions, I think this is the first time that you can do physical machines.
Can you recover maybe says,
Okay, so it's called single instance restore. So what it normally does is you can mount that mailbox onto a different server, back the single mail item. So as far as I know, the VPN cannot get to a single mail item, but you can get to a single mailbox. Then when the mailbox is mounted, you can get that item from the mailbox. Okay? But there are other instances as well, like SharePoint. Typically, if you recover SharePoint, you need a recovery form. Okay? This bypasses that need. You can recover items directly from SharePoint. Okay? So some technologies, it goes down to item level recovery, but in exchange, it goes to mailbox. Okay, so operations manager, this is used to monitor the environment, make sure that my servers are running, make sure that it stays within its performance limits, okay, and obviously to warn me and alert me if something goes wrong. If I'm running low on storage, it's going to tell me that. If I run out of CPU power, it's going to tell me that. So there's a lot of updates in the operations manager. So that brings us to configuration manager with Intune. The config manager is probably the most well-known product suite. This is where I do my device management. So I can do patch management of my desktops, laptops, servers. I can do software deployments. I can get inventory from those devices. And then Intune gives me the ability to actually connect my mobile devices as well and manage those in a single system. The config manager integrates with Intune, and in config manager I can see all my servers, my desktop, my laptop, my mobile devices, anything. Okay, and I can also manage these devices. I can apply policies. Say you need a PIN to log on, you can't share certain data, and you can't do this. So it's a massive solution. Okay, so service manager. This is the ticketing system. So when somebody phones the help desk and you log an incident, they want to log a change request, this is the system that allows you to do that. What makes this system special is that it integrates with all the other components of System Center. So for example, it connects to Config Manager to get device information. Then it goes to Operations Manager to get information about your operational aspects, like what SQL databases are out there, okay, in what state are they, okay, etc. It connects to Active Directory to get a list of your usernames. So you don't need to create configuration items. Okay? All of it is automatically. And Service Manager calls your CMDB, which is automatically updated. A couple of performance on Service Manager, and that's it. So this brings us to the demo. I've got 2 minutes left, 30 seconds. I quickly want to touch on operations management suite. Okay? So I've mentioned that System Center lives at the bottom there, and OS on top. Okay. Why? The operations management suite can monitor any workload. It doesn't matter whether that workload is running on premise or in any of the clouds that we have. Okay, so it can monitor anything. It can also ingest anything from those systems that it monitors. So why OMS? It's simple. Okay. When we do one-day POCs, so in a single day we deploy 10 agents, we wait for those agents to report data and we interrogate the data and report it back to the business. Okay, so it's very simple to get it up and running. The time to value is very quick and it's easy to integrate. So it's based on these 4 pillars: log analytics, activation, availability, security. So log analytics, you know that you've got a security policy wherever you work, okay? And this security policy is responsible for logging in your security logs. Whoever looks at those logs, okay? How would you know that you were hacked a month ago? You wouldn't. Okay? So this collects all that information, and when it's collected, it allows you to identify hacking attempts, irregularities, anything. The automation, that's orchestrated in the cloud. Availability, that is BPM connected into the cloud. It's also got something called Azure Site Recovery as well. So if you have virtual machines running in different data centers, you can orchestrate the movement of these virtual machines between these data centers. You can backup of these machines, whether that's on-premise or into the cloud. Okay, controls all of that. And there's also a huge security component. I'll show you that quickly. So I think I'm out of time. I just want to share the dashboard quickly. So this is the dashboard. You'll see I've got the log search option there. So if I check this quickly, so malware assessment. It monitors your servers and it will tell you whether those servers require any updates or whether there's malware that's running on them. And you have the ability to drill down on all of those. If you want, I'll show you the demo afterwards. Let's stop here. And then there's a whole lot of information that I can show you. I can also show you the system center components. It's all running in that tab. So I have access to that if you're interested in see it. Any questions?
So can you apply self-healing?
What can you? Can you apply self-healing on System Center? So the concept of self-healing lives in Operations Manager, where Operations Manager monitors servers, okay? And let's say, for example, it monitors your spooler service, print spooler, or as an example. When that service stops, it will see that it stopped and it will take a remedial action, for example, start the service. So if that service hasn't started at 5 attempts, it's going to let you know, hey, there's a problem, we need to check what's going on there. In terms of self-healing, if you look at System Center, Config Manager always deploys software through something called the MSI package. And that MSI package actually caters for self-healing. So if you delete a component, it will self-heal that component and fix it. This is Operations Manager. Any other questions? So let's wrap this up there.
So on the evaluation point, if you want to do more on Operations Manager or System Center, please just itemize there and then we can find further. So Jacques, thank you very, very much. Really, really appreciate it. So guys, the next session is starting at 16:50. So you've got a couple of minutes to do. Next session.